Hello and welcome to the I Am podcast for the independent American mama. I am your host, Rihanna Mishlevietz. I feel like I should give you guys a life update. So, my daughter is 5 months now. She is getting herself on her hands and her knees and rocking back and forth. She's been experimenting with her voice, making all kinds of sounds and noises. She hasn't said mommy yet. We're still waiting on that one, but it just feels like we're hitting milestones every single day now. My older five boys are as wild as ever. They're growing so quick. My 10-year-old is almost hitting that 5 foot mark, and my 2-year-old still loves snuggles with his mom. Oh, we have started seeds. I mentioned in the first episode of this season that my husband was starting his seeds and labeling them. Well, I also jumped in and started seeds, and they're so cute now. Their leaves have all started popping up. It is so fun. I love, love, love planting seeds. My husband also took some time the other day and started seeds with all of our boys. So they are also super excited to jump into this and grow something as well. We have been waiting for what feels like years to get something growing in the ground. We've been on the road and traveling in this little RV. And so now we're able to, this is the spring that we get to start our seeds inside and take care of them and then transplant them outdoors in our own garden. This is the first year in what feels like forever that we have had to be able to really just enjoy this time. So I'm excited. My husband's excited, and our kids are finally excited again. We're all just, this is great for us. Um, we have just about a little under a month until we can take all those little babies outside and transplant them into the soil. So I am so ready for the middle of spring. It's so exciting. Okay. Anyway, we are going to delve into some more questions today. So I want you to get ready. Find a cozy spot to sip your morning tea, take some notes, or if you're like me, I like to put my headphones on and start cleaning dishes or sweeping the floors while I listen to my favorite podcast. So, in whatever way that you will do it, prepare yourself. I have a really great speaker here with me today. Her name is Katy Duncan. Katy is the captain of chaos and a proud stay-at-home mother extraordinaire of three tiny titans. Her time is filled with the tasks of raising little boys, building relationships within her community, and supporting her entrepreneur husband and becoming her best self. She is a mentor, a speaker, a writer, and a play learning enthusiast. I've known Katy for close to 8 years now, and she has always walked with a radiant light that touches the lives of others. And watching her now with her three little boys, it is inspiring and beautiful to see a mama who is present and encourages growth in herself and her family. All right, welcome, Katy. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, we are in the spring season of this podcast, and I am really focusing this season on what seeds that we are planting in our lives and our hearts and in our minds. And I think springtime is a great season to focus on building that momentum in ourselves. So in preparing for this season, I asked a group of moms to throw all their questions at me, just send me everything they have. And I have been receiving all these questions, and I compiled a good number of them. Um, and I've been finding the right people to share on the right questions. So, in jumping in with you, I have a question that I received from a mom about 2 weeks ago. And I wanted to really dive into this question and expand. So, I felt it necessary to have you come on. I thought of you instantly. So, I wanted somebody to come on and share their own personal experiences. So I got super excited when you accepted this invite to join me.
Oh, thank you. I love it. I love being able to share
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
just the good positive things that have been helping me. And it's so interesting that you asked when you did, because I am like tiptoeing in the beginnings of these different techniques and different things that have been helping me. And I think that's the way the world works, is like, okay, well, if you're interested in learning this new technique that's helping you, just so you know, you're going to be asked to share about it from the universe or from the world, because in sharing and teaching others, there's a lot of growth within yourself. So it's an awesome opportunity. So thank you.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you for that. So, all right, are you ready to dive in?
Sure. Now I'm curious about which questions so you sent me a whole list of questions and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing.
Oh, yeah. So
And to start off, like, I'm not perfect. I don't think you will find a parent who is. I don't think there is any manual in the world that can teach anybody how to be the perfect parent. And if there is somebody, saying, hey, I've got the goods, they're probably trying to sell you something. And
yes,
it's okay to receive experience and advice from imperfect people, because we're all in this together. So I guess that's me giving permission for myself and also anybody else out there who doesn't think that they know anything because they think they have to be perfect, which is, I'm not. So I'll just share from my heart and hopefully it'll help those listening.
absolutely. Thank you for that. Definitely, definitely need to clarify that more often with a lot of people. So, thank you.
Right.
All right. So, the question that I got was this: I am having trouble with my son, and I want him to open up to me and confide in me, but I don't know how to do this. I also grew up not feeling safe opening up to my parents. So, Katie, how do you create an environment where your children feel safe to express themselves?
I love this question. I think something that I've learned recently and that I'm trying to implement is allowing them to see me and know that I'm growing and I'm trying to practice things to help me be a better person, and to let it be okay that sometimes we don't have all the answers. Sometimes we don't even understand what we're feeling. And just to know that there is somebody who cares enough to continue to ask or to reach out or to, help them, help the parent understand, but also help the child understand that, sometimes bad things happen, or sometimes we have really big feelings that cause things to happen. And that's a part of life. And as a parent, I think I would tell my kid, I want to be a part of this. Like, I want to share with you and experiencing what you're going through, because I know what it feels like to be alone. And I know what it feels like to hold something heavy and to not know how to ask for help. So if somebody's feeling really private or introverted about their feelings, it's probably because there have been instances where they haven't felt safe in expressing the depth of their feelings. And so probably the first step in cultivating that is allowing grace for the parent, like a grace for yourself,
Yeah.
and saying, you know what, I have messed up, or I have been over the top, or I have done things that have made it difficult to share with me, and I am sorry. And I'd like to try fixing that, or I'd like to try being there for you in a way that maybe I wasn't before.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe opening up that dialogue for them, but respecting that maybe they just don't want to talk about it right that second. I have little boys. My whole household, you do too. You understand this. They're like, you don't talk about your feelings. You just beat each other up. Like, you
Ain't
don't
that the
you go
way?
run and play, or like you pretend they don't exist and then they don't happen. And so just the very fact that you're helping your son understand the importance of emotions is awesome, is a huge step for maybe a lot of men that didn't get to have that experience, as a mother being like, hey, your feelings matter. I want to know about them. If you want to share with me, I'm open to helping you sort them out. And The other thought that came to mind was, instead of going straight for like the scary feeling of the emotion, because that doesn't, from my experience with my kids, it doesn't come naturally to want to like go into an emotional state. I play with them, or like I open up, hey, do you want to come spend some time with me? Or hey, do you want to um play Legos together? Or what have you been learning in Minecraft? Or show me something else that you're really proud of and teach me about it, or connect with me about it, because I think it requires connection. So that's what I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So if you like nurturing your children's interests and passions and things that they're doing to help them feel that safety, creating that environment for them to then open up to you, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Cool. So that's how you would then say you nurture those interests and passions. Are there other ways that you will nurture your children's um I like their hobbies and all of that?
It honestly depends on the hobby. My almost 2-year-old has a hobby of going into the road. And that way I don't support that. I tell him all the time, I'm like, no, or like, this is the road, this is dangerous. But I'm also super, super excited at his milestones and the things that are um evolving and growing. I take pride in doing my best to be their biggest cheerleader and being excited about, oh my goodness, you want to sit down and show me this thing that you created? Yes. Like I will sit down and I will have fun with you, and that means more to me than maybe this sense of accomplishment I'm seeking for getting this task done. But
Yeah.
that's hard. Like I'm not perfect at that. And so I think it's a good balance for a parent, or especially a mom, to see that you are the safe place, you are your parents' biggest cheerleader, you are everything. And it doesn't take the entire afternoon to convince them of how important they are to you. And
Yeah.
so if we can understand in our minds that a simple, like, I'll give an example. My son Lucas is really into Minecraft, and he was figuring out how to get like kitties, like pet kitties.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's a cute goal. Fun. I'm excited to hear how it goes. And first it was, hey mom, how do what do cats eat? I'm like, oh, salmon. Like I know enough about Minecraft to know, like, okay, well, you do it this way in Minecraft, or you get it this way. Feed him salmon. He's like, cool. And then I could hear from the other room, he's like, yeah, I got a kitty. And I'm like, yeah, let's feed him. That's awesome. And then a few minutes later, he's giggling and laughing and squealing. And he's like, Mom, I have 6 kitties. And he had like gone to town, and he had, I don't know if, he made more by like coupling them or like
Yeah.
attracting individuals, but just the fact that he was so excited and so happy to share with me something that, from an adult parent's perspective, I'm like, that seems kind of illogical, or that's a waste of time, or that's like not, that's just a bunch of cats. Like, boring. Like, I don't want to be
Right.
that parent. I want to celebrate in these cute, fun things that they're doing. And I know that as I cultivate that now, it's only going to continue to be cultivated in the future. So
Yes.
let's say
Yeah.
his big thing is playing video games or playing Minecraft, or like right now he wants to learn to skateboard. I do my best to provide him that space and that encouragement, and a healthy dose of like, okay, well, you got to figure it out on your own. Like there's some things that you just need to handle by yourself, and to be proud of yourself and to seek that sense of accomplishment from inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the figuring it out yourself thing. But also like those things that they are celebrating, those are big to them. They're huge to them because that's I mean, they have a capacity that's a lot smaller than ours, and we can multitask and think about all the bills and think about the things that we're missing out on, the fact that we are lacking in certain areas. But this little tiny thing that they are focusing on is all that's important right now. And so I love that you're saying just to take that moment, just it was a really small moment for you to sit down and explain what those kittens like, and then you just get to watch him just light up the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So that's
Like it's
awesome.
an honor and a privilege to be able to be thought of and um, sought after. And I never want to forget that. I don't
Yeah.
want to forget the reality that I am this person to them. As a creator, I wish I remembered his name, but he shared a video about the king is not without his just rewards. And it's this idea that the only difference between a king and a slave is, like, for instance, they're both doing some of the hardest work. They're both doing immense deeds for the kingdom. One of them is forced to do so without any recompense, a slave. Like they're just expected to serve and serve and serve and serve.
Yeah.
And the king knows and understands that he has just rewards. He has things that come from this position that are just as amazing and wonderful as the trenches that he's dredging in. And I think parents, I especially, have gotten caught up in like the drudgery of parenthood and like the difficult monotonous tasks, or feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm just a slave to all these people, and not remembering that it's in these small sweet moments, these like beautiful tender experiences, where that just reward for us as mothers comes in, that these little humans just love you, and like you are an important force for them for good. And their cuddles, their attention, their the way that you get to experience them growing and like learning is so healing and so powerful for your inner child. Like that is a massive just reward that you have access to, even though you're not perfect. Like even though you're not exemplary in whatever parenting standards you have for yourself. And it's okay to take the time to appreciate those and to prioritize those.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so like, yeah, when I think about trying to find the motivation to prioritize those, I try to remember that. I remember that there are just rewards in parenting, and those who don't have kids, they probably don't get it, and it's okay. Like pearls before pearls, I don't want to say swine because that's not what I'm trying to say, but like enjoy it. Like just it's a wonderful time to just sit and think like, okay, cool. This is cool. I am a parent. I'm like figuring this out, and this person is on board and invested, and we're gonna have so much fun together.
Oh my goodness, yes, it is so rewarding. So rewarding. So, how do you stay patient and calm during the challenging parenting moments?
It depends on the parenting moment. And I don't. um, so I'm getting there. Okay. I'm not the most patient, perfect parent. Like, I think it's okay for everyone to be honest with themselves and admit that this life is hard, that the patience required to train little humans is astronomical, and the growing pains of developing into the person necessary for them to not experience like maybe the trauma or the pain that you had is a lot.
Hmm.
And more importantly, not more importantly, but just as importantly, I work on how I talk to myself and how I process when those lack of patience happens. So let's say I yell at my kids and I like lose it. I know to then have a repair conversation with myself and a repair conversation with them, and to say, yep, I'm a grown up and I make mistakes, and you matter way more than how I treated you. And I'm working on it and I love you and we're figuring it out. Um, I have been doing stuff like I don't see it as like, okay, well, I have to be less stressed and more calm and perfect for them, because that just sets me up to like have massive mom guilt and to feel like I not only failed myself, but I fail them every single time I lose it. And instead I kind of go back to myself and I say, okay, I lost my mind. Like I had a fit. Now, if I was the grown up addressing this little Katy or this little girl inside me, how would I approach this? Like, okay, have I had enough to drink, like water? Have I had food lately? Am I feeling overstimulated? Is there a lot going on mentally? And then I tell myself, you know what? That is a lot. That's a lot going on. And I think you're justified in freaking out. But let's try doing something different next time. Like, let's invite the possibility that you could just take some big breaths. You could leave the room. You can exercise, play good music. Sometimes when I just feel like the kids are not listening and they are not cooperating, and I am like 2 seconds away from like having a meltdown, I'm like, I'm going to play my favorite playlist and I don't care what you guys are doing, but I'm going to dance. Like, or I'm going to like go give myself a timeout. I don't have any qualms about like giving them something that will thoroughly distract them, whether it's screens or it's like their favorite Legos or like something that would later stress me out. Right now, if they're distracted and they're safe, I'm going to allow myself that same liberty. I can go process my feelings for 5 minutes. I can go take some big breaths. Um I wouldn't suggest doom scrolling, but that does tend to happen where like you go on your phone and you're just like, I just need to distract myself.
Yep.
Like it's a normal human thing to need a break. And it's a normal human thing to have tantrums. And we're all figuring it out together. And they're still watching us even after we have a meltdown. And that lesson is just as powerful for them to learn as like trying to prevent or trying to remain calm or trying to pretend like something isn't bothering you or something isn't going on. So it depends. If my kid's running into the street or if they're doing something dangerous, I've got 3 boys, all thoroughly bred with ADHD. Like they know what's up, they do their own thing, they have a hard time listening, and we're rolling with it.
Yep.
And in those moments where it gets to be too much, I do my best to help them understand that it's okay. We make mistakes. We try to be better. And I'm glad you're safe and that it's not the end of the world. Like, I don't know if that helps, but that's
Mhm.
knowing that, just knowing that for myself helps me remain calm or helps me remember, okay, I know these techniques, I can do these techniques. Let me show them what these techniques look like
Yeah.
and build from that. Does that help?
I think that's going to help somebody for sure. Definitely. That was amazing. So last week, in my last week's episode, I delve into ways that you can take care of yourself, fill your own cup, just from my own experience. So I think it's extremely beneficial to hear it also from you. So what some self-care practices that you have found manageable and effective with little ones around?
Taking okay, so better understanding my mental health, like what my triggers are, um, what my like. So therapy, one, I always recommend it. Please go to therapy. I don't care if you have the happiest marriage or like the most wonderful, well-adjusted kids. They're not. Like there's more room for growth, and that growth is the best thing that you can do for yourself and for anybody else. Excuse me, sorry. Some other self-care things, if that's not an option, is like grace, journaling. I also take baths every night. I just have that in my routine. I feel
Yeah.
really happy when I soak in a tub. Um, I also protect that part of myself that needs an outlet, that needs a creative force. There are so many tasks. There are so many like never ending things. And you're never going to be perfect at it. It's never going to be completed. And that is so incredibly monotonous and would drive anybody crazy. So, recognizing that what I am craving is being able to create or being able to produce something, and then doing that like in really small ways. For instance, like I like coloring. I'll just put on some music and I'll color, or I'll get into some other like craft stuff. For instance, I talked about being my boys are ADHD. I'm ADHD. So for me, starting projects is really exciting, but finishing them, not so much.
Same.
And being forgiving and okay with that and being like, you know what? The dopamine's gone. Fine. I don't have time to like beat myself up about losing interest in something that doesn't interest me anymore. Okay, well, my next game is how can I turn that into a profit or like turn all these like things that I'm not doing anymore into something else.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with recognizing about how much you matter, like how much you as an individual outside this role as being a mother for other people matters. It matters about you being the best version of yourself, the best mother you can be, is defending and protecting this woman inside of you that still craves to create for herself, for fun, for play, and being your fiercest protector and defender of that.
Yeah.
Because again, like you have to protect yourself against yourself. I know that. I know that as a mom. I'll sit there and I'll say, like, oh, well, everything is so much easier if I eat last, or everything is so much better if I'm, just happy to go with the flow, or it's going to be so much better if I, um, like learn to cope with being uncomfortable. And, maybe, yeah, but don't do that until you are absolutely nothing and no one unrecognizable. Like, please, please love her, find her, protect her, and cherish her because she matters and because she has much more to give when her cup is full or when her needs are met.
Yeah.
I hope that helps. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to feel like there are other people contributing to like the level necessary to feel full, but it starts with yourself.
Absolutely, it does. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it's possible. I know it sounds like, oh no, I don't have the time or life is too busy. And you're right. And you're worth making adjustments for. You're worth that.
That was so perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, what are some activities that you recommend moms take for a quick self-care rejuvenation practice? But those who have
Mm.
like little spare time?
I take a look at my guilty pleasures. They call them like guilty pleasures. And it's like, well, I like shopping. Like I like going out and looking at clearance stuff or going treasure hunting, or the closest thing to treasure hunting that, we can. I'm
Right.
also big on fantasy. Like I love fantasy. I love escapism. Excuse me, sorry. But the other parts of it is sometimes I'll find like, oh, like this face mask is clearanced. Well, it's clearanced. The only reason why I found it is because I'm in my like guilty pleasure phase and just shopping for fun and treasure hunting. And I found this face mask. And then I found out, hey, I kind of like this. Like I had a face mask, I put it on, I did it with my bath time routine. And I'm like, wow, this is really nice. Like just getting curious and being open and available to connection or opportunities that arise like this, like being on a podcast with you is one of those opportunities. It's like, okay, I was invited to share my experience being a parent after so many times the past couple months I've been like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this, I'm not a great parent, this isn't working for me, like I could be so much happier doing other things or whatever. That's not my reality. Like the reality is I am a parent and I have kids, and I'm learning to love and protect me within that process, but also learning to evolve into a better person. So opportunities will arise, whether I'm ready for them or not, and having the courage to say, for myself, I say yes. Like for who I am becoming or who I am investing in, I say yes. Because saying no, that's not going to put me where I want to be. That's just going to continue to set me on a path of feeling crummy. And so it's not always permanent. The amount of dependence that these kids have on us at these really young, early stages isn't forever. And as that time and energy opens up, I think it's important that there's somebody still there ready and willing to try or to get fun and curious and playful again and discover what makes us happy just for us. And that's exciting. Like that's cool. It's cool to know that even though there are moments that are so hard and so self-sacrificing and so completely scary because we don't know the answers and we're just faking it and we're trying, there are in the future going to be moments where it's like, okay, here, like, do you want to give this a try, or do you want to see if this is for you? And sometimes say yes and see what
Right.
happens. So,
Sometimes you just have to say yes and just experiment. Oh, I've never tried that, but sure, I'll try it.
right? And it's like, um, I don't know how this will work out, but
Yeah.
I think self-care requires self-growth. And you don't grow unless you're willing to evolve or change or do new things. But you also don't really feel comfortable being that type of person unless you have a good idea of how to currently take care of yourself. So, self care, go back to the basics. Make sure you're showered and clean, that when you look in the mirror, you feel presentable and you like yourself. Um, it doesn't have to be like to the nines and tens. Also, get off social media. If it's too much and you feel like you're comparing yourself constantly to an unrealistic standard and you're always failing and you're never measuring up, adjust your expectations.
Yeah. That's a big
Like
one.
adjust the reality that you're in and realize perfection is not the standard to shoot for. It's like growth and love and happiness and being able to just soak in moments as they are. So, and that's not to say that being on social media or sharing on social media isn't a wonderful thing to have or to produce, you and I wouldn't be talking right now if
Mhm.
we didn't have this like wonderful connective social media presence. Um, but social media addiction is a problem, and it can really mess with people if they feel like they're depressed and they can never measure up. Really take a look at where you are outsourcing your idea of the standard, if that helps.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going like
Absolutely.
all over the place, but I hope it
You're
helps.
not going all over the place. You're doing great. All
Oh,
right.
good.
All right, I have one last question for you. What advice would you give to new parents about building a loving relationship with their children?
Oh, get to know your kids. So I'm working on this. This is
Mhm.
this is a powerful question for me. So tell me the question again. It's about like getting to know your kids or
It was what advice would you give to new parents about building a loving relationship with their children?
okay, build a loving relationship with yourself. The voice that they will be most attuned to is the voice that you respond to in your own head. So again, this is brand new for me. I learned it in therapy just not too long ago. So I am pouring in all the grace possible because most of the time I am really hard on myself,
Yeah.
and I am seeking to change that. And I'm seeking to be more compassionate, more curious, more confident and kind. And when I do that for myself, it makes space for them, and they can feel safe and they can know, okay, like this just instinctually, they know that this person is there to not only physically take care of them, but also emotionally and spiritually, because that's what I'm doing for myself. And that's what I'm seeking to do for um, the person who operates the whole responses.
Yeah.
So I think also cultivate like not taking it too seriously. Like I have a pretty good relationship with um two of my three. The third one, it's like we're button heads all the time. And I don't want to say that we don't have a good relationship, but there are particular um quirks that he and I face that the other brothers don't.
Mm.
And to instead of getting like intense and controlling or like over the top about wanting them to be like doing better, being better, I'm like, okay, well, that's not working. Let's try be curious. Like, okay, well, why would he be responding this way? Or why am I acting this way? Why am I getting intense about this?
Yeah.
And then allowing the truth to come out and allowing it to be, if it's about me and my own trauma and my experiences, awesome. Ouch. Okay, let's process that. And then realize that they're worth that and you love them, and the pain required to evolve is only going to benefit in the long run. It's only going to like provide more space, more opportunity, more memories of connection. So cultivating a good relationship with your kids starts with cultivating a good relationship with yourself, but then putting in the energy, putting in the curiosity, the play, the enthusiasm for them, and showing them like, you know what? Adult Katie, who's got a huge list of to-dos, does not care about Bakugan. She does not want to sit here and listen to an 8-minute story about 7 different things. But I love my sons and I love them and I love their minds. I love the way that they think. I love the things that they're passionate about, and seeing them happy makes me so happy. Like seeing them, I'm gonna cry. Seeing them be safe and um, feel important, and to know that what they're into is awesome and that I want to be a part of it is so healing. And so it is a treasure. It's one of those incredible treasures that parenthood allows us to experience. And so
Absolutely.
I'm not perfect. No
No.
one is. And I practice remembering that. And when I practice, I celebrate and we go from there.
Awesome. Oh, yes. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and sharing your message with all of us. This has been amazing. Thank you.